So it's been about 24 hours since the Sims 4 Infants update went live yesterday, and I just wanted to give my brief opinion now that I've played it. So to be fair, I've played about 6 to 8 hours of the Infants update since it came out. I do have some different clips and TikToks and YouTube shorts if you want to catch those. The Infants overall was a great concept. I agree that babies, which are now called newborns in the game, were not very interactive. They just were tied to the bassinet. They were very boring, and it was repetitive. Usually aged up my babies right away just because there was nothing to do. So the thought of having infants was very exciting, and I was looking forward to the opportunity to test out infant gameplay. Just based on the trailer that they showed us during the live stream of this pack and the upcoming expansion pack that comes out tomorrow, I thought the infants are going to be very interactive and a very much needed challenge to the Sims 4 franchise. I will agree that infants are challenging. I spent a lot of time taste testing different foods, providing them with bottles and nutrients, and making sure that overall the Sims are attentive to the infants' needs, but there are some qualms. A couple things I noticed that were a little bit wonky. Number one, they're too attentive to their infants, even with the autonomy turned off. If the infant cries, any adult or older siblings will run over to the crib to check the infant. It's a little distracting because they'll cancel out their cue. So if I have them queued up to take care of their own personal needs, they will literally stop doing that so that they can go interfere with the baby's needs. I had a couple of issues where they still yank the baby out of the crib too much for me. So they fixed the high chair situation where they don't yank the kids out of the high chair when you're trying to feed them. You can successfully taste test different foods with the infants, and it's not a problem. It's actually a really cute animation, but it is very distracting with the crib. I had a couple of times where I would have my sim put the baby into the crib. The baby starts crying because for whatever reason, it doesn't want to go to sleep right away, or it's fussy while it's trying to fall asleep. And so the parent will yank the baby out of the crib and then put them on the floor. And I was like, that's very distracting, and not sure what I'm supposed to do with that. A couple glitches where the infants were stretched out and looking not like a sim at all, which I thought was weird. A couple of routing issues where sometimes I couldn't use the infant furniture, like the baby wouldn't go into the crib. The parent would act like they couldn't get it in there. So just kind of confusing. I know those glitches can be worked out over time, and it is a new life stage, so glitches were kind of expected. But I'm not sure how I feel about not getting the changing table or the playmat in base game. You know, when we got toddlers that were introduced to the Sims series, the Sims 4 in 2017 or 2018, we got all of the furniture, the toddler skills, all the interactions, pretty much in base game. The only thing that we had to pay for extra was parenthood or toddler kit stuff, which had some extras. But for the most part, everything you wanted and needed for toddlers was there from the jump. For the infants update, you are not able to get the changing station, which is kind of a big deal because now the dirty diapers just kind of fall on the floor and you have no way to dispose of those. You have to do it manually. You also don't get any of the play mats. There's no milestones or skill building. And so infants are basically now a time, consumer. You have to entertain them, keep them satisfied that they will grow up to be unhealthy infants and they'll get a negative personality trait for that. But there's no incentive to really want to play with infants because they're a lot of work, but we don't get to see them progress over time. So let me know what you think of the Infants update. Do you agree or do you disagree?